Yes,
Hello?
we are hearing. Please go ahead.
All right.
We are
All
listening
right.
to you.
Yes, dear listeners to this CPRODEV Hour, you're most welcome to tonight's program. This evening, we are privileged to have Madame Juliet Kavuma, who is going to share with us on the topic which says re-entry. Since we are all teachers, or majority of us are active teachers, we believe we now have a challenge that we've been on the long holiday. There is a need to refocus and probably resume in the most active and productive way. So this is the very gist of this CPRODEV Hour. And I believe all of us are going to benefit a lot from this program. So here we are. Madame Julie, you're welcome to talk to us, to address us. And as the program shall be progressing, we shall have some few questions from our members. Madame Julie, you're welcome.
Thank you so much.
Hello.
Thank you so much. Thank you so much, Madame Annette. I don't know if you can hear me.
Yeah.
Okay, thank you so much for that introduction, and thank you, Teacher Rogers, for the opportunity. I will start by making a comment that I have dogs and it is night, so somehow you'll hear the dogs barking in the background. But all in all, I think they won't stop us from going ahead. So I would request someone to start us off with a word of prayer before we begin.
Right. Yes. Miss Obua, I can see you
Yes,
present.
yes,
Miss
we are not
Obua?
listening. We can't hear the madam talking. Madam Juliet, the voice is, I don't know whether it is my network.
She was a little low and she was giving an apology. However, we shall request her to try hard to project the volume.
Okay. Okay.
All right. Yeah. May we have a
Mr.
word of
Obua,
prayer,
can you
Mr.
pray?
Obua? Mr. Obua?
Let us pray. God, our loving Father, we thank you this evening. We thank you for protecting us through the election period. We thank you for keeping us safe. As we come back to start this ProDev hour, this 29th day of January, dear Lord, we request that you be the chairperson. Send us your guiding angels to guide through the discussions that we have. May all that shall be received here be fruitful to us and to our family members and the learners we shall teach them. I pray, believing you have heard us through Christ our Lord. Amen. In the name of the Father, Son, and Holy Spirit. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Auma. Yes, Madam Julie, members are requesting that you try hard to project the voice.
Okay, how
It's
about
true you
now?
have
Can
some
you hear
challenge,
me?
but we pray that you somehow try hard.
Okay.
Yes.
How
You're
about
welcome,
now?
Madam
Can
Julie.
you hear me? Okay, thank you. Can you hear me now?
You're very
Yes, we
clear.
I
can
can
now hear
hear.
you.
Okay, thank you very much. So in the beginning, it seems some people missed what I said. This is my second time. It is my second time on your platform. I really thank you for thinking about me and bringing me back to say something to the teachers. My name is Juliet Kavuma, or Nasolo Juliet Kavuma, formerly a teacher of English language and literature. which I taught for over 20 years. And then before I became a psychologist and finally a school counselor. Right now, I work as a school counselor in a high school. I deal with teenagers, I deal with children, I deal with parents, with staff. And so I was really happy when I heard or when I was called upon to say something, because I know that we've been away from our places of work for so long, almost 9 weeks, probably even 10 weeks. And when we come to such long weeks of absence from our workplaces, somehow when we resume, it is more of a drag. So I'm going to share the PowerPoint, and then we start off. So give me a minute, please. Okay, so I think you can see the PowerPoint from there. Can I have someone to confirm that you can see it?
It's okay.
Yes.
Okay, thank you so much. So our topic today is the re-entry transition from holiday. We are coming from holiday, 10 weeks almost, into our busy routine. Our busy routine as you know it. For some people, it is 6 a.m. to 5 p.m. For some people, it is 24 hours. So our busy routine, having been away for so long, somehow we might be forgetting what exactly we are supposed to do. So the objectives of this session, one is to normalize the emotional shift from a long break to routine. We all know that sometimes when we keep away from a busy place for even when it is 2 days or you go for a weekend, Monday, that's why Monday is a drag and Friday is a celebration. You find people celebrating on Friday. You've seen those memes and other TikTok dances where people celebrate a Friday, and then when it comes to Monday, everyone is dragging. So imagine us being away for 10 weeks, and it is now next around 2 weeks from now or 10 days from now, we shall be required to go back to our workplaces. And so it tends to impact on us emotionally. So to normalize the emotional shift from a long break to routine, then to guide teachers to implement the slow start classroom protocol. We need to understand the slow start. I'll talk about that when we get there. And then to guide and promote self-regulation amongst us, because sometimes we might get back into our teaching routine when we haven't regulated the way we are going to handle ourselves this year. Now, as teachers, there are common challenges that we usually face, and most of us have gone through these challenges. Some people are still going through the challenges, and some people go through these challenges from the beginning of the year to the end, maybe until when you get a break and you keep away from the large classes. But again, you find that some people carried work to mark activities of integration, especially those in the lower secondary curriculum. They carried work to mark in the holidays. So I know that even in the holidays, some people have been marking activities of integration. Some people have been doing, I've heard of Kai and other things. So I might be a bit behind as far as the new curriculum is concerned, but I've seen this amongst the people I work with because I work in a school. So we really suffer with large classes. You have 100 students in a stream, you carry those papers and then you have to mark them during the holiday. Some people are just picking them out from wherever they dropped them in November, and they are just picking out those papers to start marking. So meaning that by the time we start in Feb, some people have already started the routine, and some will be dragging and resenting the normal routine. Why? Because the hard work has already begun even before the schools open officially, due to the backlog that we left behind. We suffer from limited resources, big classes, limited resources. You all know what the lower curriculum requires. So you have to improvise here and there. There is no money and all that, but you still need to work through so that your students come through or pass, or you keep your job and etc, all those things. And then there is also high community expectations. I know that PLE results are soon, and also O-level results will be coming in a few weeks, and then A-level, and parents are looking out, students are looking out, school administrators are looking out, the docents are looking out. So the heads of department, everyone is looking down on the teacher who taught that class. So the community is expecting, and the entire country, because the school name will have to appear somewhere in the papers, all that. So high community expectations, and then also low pay. I mean, people have been striking for so long. People are looking for for higher pay and all that. So all these are challenges that we all face wherever we are. And we are taking back the same challenges in the beginning of this new year. So when people see you as a person who has a job, you wake up in the morning, you go to work, and they see success. They see that you're successful, you have a job. Now, what we see there is what we call the iceberg effect. So on top, people see a person who carries himself or carries herself very well in the morning. She wakes up Monday to Friday, probably Monday to Saturday, some people Monday to Sunday. They wake up every morning, go to work, and at the end of the day, they have something. So people see success, but what they don't see is what you see here. Sorry, I'm losing a minute. I've lost my presentation. Give me a minute, please. Okay. Okay, so it is back. So what they don't see, okay, so what they don't see is the emotional baggage that you carry. Are we still together, people? Someone to
Yeah,
say
Yes, we are
Yes,
following.
yes.
Go
okay,
ahead.
so what they don't see is the emotional baggage that we carry, the persistence. Despite the heavy classes, despite the big numbers, despite the low pay, we persist from January to December and we go on. They don't see the sacrifice that you put in. They don't see the hard work that you put in. Maybe they do sometimes, but they don't see the real hard work, the sleepless nights because of the too much marking and all that, the preparations for the lessons and all that, the good habits that you have so as to be able to do your work efficiently and effectively, the dedication you put in, the disappointments that you might get along the way, the empty bank accounts, like I talked about, the low pay, the loans and all that. We go through this as teachers, as people who work in schools. We go through all this and the failures. I know, like I said, that exams or results are about to come back, and most parents will probably be asking what happened. The administrators will be asking what happened. When all is well, they'll celebrate. When there are failures there, they'll ask questions. So these are some of the emotional baggages that we carry. We carry all this with us. But when people see us walking around, going to work, they think, oh, that one is successful. You know, she's a teacher. You know, she teaches in high school. So all those things happen. Now, what is happening? What is happening? Oh my God, I put there, oh my God, what is happening? So because of all that emotional baggage that we carry, we get stressed out, we become anxious. Anxiety is what we call excessive worry. You get so worried about so many things. At the end of the day, you get burnt out, or what we call burn out. You're running on low battery because of all that baggage that I've just talked about. You go through emotional and physical fatigue. And right now, we are living in, this year was, or last year or this year, there were years of elections, there were years of campaigns. So politics is so much on the plate. And so people are unsettled, people are tired, you know, because of the wear and tear on the body that has been created, especially by politics, especially by finances. Finances, how? Usually when we go away for these 2 months, some people work in schools where they are not paid in December and January because they are on holiday. Such schools are there. Some people work in schools where all allowances are cut off when you go for holiday, and all you have is a basic pay. So the finances become scanty. And then when you add that to the politics that has been going around, sometimes you're caught up in tear gas, bullets, uncertainty, and all that. There is a silent wear and tear on the bodies that causes tiredness. And then in a few days, in a few weeks, we'll have to go back to work. Now, what should we do in such circumstances? After going through all that emotional baggage, all that physical pain, all that emptiness of bank accounts and pockets, what exactly are we supposed to do? So the things that we are supposed to do are not from Mars. Like our former headmistress used to say, it is not rocket science. It is not. These are things that are within us. We live with them, we see them every day, and we just need to learn what works for you and then you implement. First and foremost, we need to plan the first weeks of the term carefully. The first weeks of the term, talking about if we are starting 10th February, like the government proposal or the government directive, then it means the first weeks of the term up to around 20th or something of the sort, we have to take things a little bit slow. Allow yourself to adjust because your brain has been away. Biologically, you are science teachers, most of you. Biologically, you know that what we do is upscale cognitive work. We need to use the brain all the time so as to be able to deliver the knowledge or to impart the knowledge that we do to our students. Now, if the brain has been lazy, if the brain has been sleepy, if the brain has been, involved in business and other things during these past 10 weeks, it's going to be a little bit difficult to go back to the academic work that we do. So you need to take things slow and allow yourself to adjust. The brain needs to adapt from relaxation to structured routine. And secondly, you need to be kind to yourself and others. You'll find those who are very fast and they are able to catch up immediately. Once the term begins, they are on their 2 feet and they are doing things the way they are supposed to be done. But there are also those who you find they are struggling a bit because of the things they've gone through during the holidays. Some people are coming back with maybe having lost relatives or having had to relocate from one house or the other, new changes everywhere because of luck and all that. If it is on the good side, well and good. But if it is on the other side where there is need and lack, it is going to be a bit hard. So you as a person, you need to be kind to yourself and others. If you were DOS, if you are head of department, you need to understand that people are still trying to adjust. And then try to focus on small achievable goals. Don't start setting goals that are really high up there in the sky, telling yourself that within 1 week, I should, if the students are coming back on Monday, by Friday, I should have finished around 2 topics. I don't know. Yes, you can do that, but how about the students? Will they be in the mood? Will they be in that situation of, being able to follow whatever you're talking about in the first week of the term? Then appreciate yourself for the small wins you attain every day or every end of the day or every end of the week. However small, you need to appreciate yourself. We always talk about gratitude. Instead of looking at comparisons that, oh, my other friend is really doing so well, or she has finished, 3 topics in the first week or in the first 2 weeks. If the comparisons come in, I know the school system demands that if you're teaching, let me say if you are in a school where the senior 1 or senior 2 class or whatever class has more than one stream, you are different teachers teaching the same subject and same material but in different streams. Usually there is that silent demand that you should be able to move at par. But sometimes it might not be possible because we all work differently. We are not the same person. So we are different and we work differently at a different pace. But at the end of the day, in most cases, we achieve or we attain the goal that we set out to attain. And therefore, if you are slower a bit, you need to appreciate yourself, but again, don't sit back and relax. You need to push a bit so that you are at par with other people. And those who are faster, please don't look down on others. Just be kind to others. Be kind to yourself, be kind to others, and understand where they are coming from. And then sharing experiences with colleagues reduces the isolation, because sometimes you might be dragging with the new year, you're dragging with a new term, you're dragging with a new topic, you're dragging with new students. Especially you might be now, you taught senior 2 and now they've come to senior 3, you're picking another batch of students, so you might be dragging everywhere. But sharing experiences helps you with your colleagues. It helps you to reduce the isolation. How? Because you get to know that you're not the only person who is struggling. There could be other people in the department who are also struggling, and so when you share, you kind of understand, oh, she's going through the same thing I'm going through, and therefore we might even be able to sit together and see how we can sort this out. So the other thing you need to do is, if you rush into new material during the first week of school, when students are still in what we call the fight or fright mode, you leave many behind. Okay, and when you leave many behind, it leads to frustration in the end. How? Because whenever you leave your students behind, it means that when that test comes, they won't perform as well as you expect them to. When that exam comes along, the midterm, they won't perform as well as you expect them to perform. Why? Because new material came in at the beginning. And when it does, some students are going to switch off completely. It is very possible that some will switch off completely depending on the subject. If it is physics, which usually students struggle with, you'll find that you're teaching students, you're doing your work, you're hitting the milestones, but at the end of the day, they are not getting it. Why? Because of one thing you probably did at the beginning of the term, that is running straight into new material during the first week.
Then try as much as possible not to give graded tests in the first week. There are schools that begin with beginning of term exams. Most of the schools, or some schools, begin with beginning of term exams. You report on Monday, on Tuesday you have beginning of term exams. That was so common during the old curriculum. I don't know whether it is still very common currently. But once that kind of thing is done, remember what I said about the brain, and you being science teachers, you know exactly that the brain is still asleep, and then straight away the exams begin. Or maybe some people will say, oh, but these students have been reading during the holidays or etc. Trust me, dear teacher, not all. Some probably, those who are really, really into academics. Others might have been doing different things altogether. Others might have been required to take care of their homes and they don't really have that other time to pay attention to their academic work. So there are so many things that can stop students to concentrate or to do academic work during the holidays. So allow students to talk to each other and to you also. So you might find out that person who is struggling at the beginning of the term just because you've given them maybe a period to talk to you and you're also talking to them, how was the holiday and that kind of thing. Instead of your first lesson, you're already introducing a new topic in mathematics or this. I know schools demand that we need to work fast because we have to cover the syllabus. But at the end of the day, also ask yourself of what benefit is covering the syllabus so fast when the students are frustrated, they are left behind. So try to use interesting things like puzzles, riddles, games in order to awaken the brain. You can put your material or your work or whatever subject that you teach, you can create material in forms of puzzles, riddles, games. I know that students will be drawn to this kind of thing. Today we're training in using VR and AR, those, visual or virtual reality and etc. Mr. Kaziva, I see him online. He trained us today and yesterday. So if you can bring in something interesting to reawaken the brain, well and good, especially in the first lessons. Encourage peer-to-peer discussions. Good enough we are in that curriculum that allows the students to do peer-to-peer discussions. So in the first weeks of the term, probably week 1 or week 2, you can allow the peer-to-peer discussions so that these students get to, align to each other and then align themselves to the material that you're going to teach them. They get used to each other again. They've been away from each other for so long. And then when you come to class, I know as teachers we like standing a lot, or maybe it is just natural that if you're going to use the blackboard or whatever, the whiteboard or etc., you'll find yourself standing up. But if you're going to class with low energy, low mood, low motivation, sometimes you need to sit down a bit if you must, so that you conserve your energy and in the process you rebuild your energy. So slow is smooth and smooth is fast. Slow is smooth because you're taking everyone at the same pace. Smooth is fast. Why? Because if you allow students to understand what you're teaching slowly at the beginning, that you don't rush, then it will be very beneficial for you as a teacher, and it will also be beneficial for the student. A slow start will help you cover content. It will help teach learnable learners. It will help avoid behavior issues, and it will help you come to pace with your syllabus. Behavior issues, very important there. Some students behave, unruly, untouchable, unmanageable, especially when they have just come back from home. not because really that is what they are, but the conditions that could be at home might push them to behave the way they do. And therefore, when you begin with the hard stuff, somehow, somewhere, you're losing each other. So what else should we do? If there is a problem, acknowledge it. Remember where I said that speak to your colleagues. In most cases, when you air out to your head of department, you air out to your colleague or your co-class, co-teachers in the class, in the same class, in different streams, and you air out what you're going through. So you're acknowledging that there is a problem. And when you acknowledge, you get to know that maybe other people are also going through the same thing, that they are also struggling the way you are struggling. And therefore, you find solutions. Like they say, a problem shared is a problem half solved. And then also learn to breathe. We breathe normally. People, we breathe normally, but for us in psychology, we know that when you take a slow, deep breath, and then you hold it a bit, and you exhale slowly, you let out that breath slowly. It helps to calm your body. It helps you to move from a tensed up situation to a calmer situation. So let us learn to breathe. Let us learn to breathe, not just to breathe for the sake of breathing, but also to breathe. Let me put on my video here to show you. To show you how we should breathe. Okay, so yeah. Can you see me? Hello?
Hello.
Can you see me? Okay. So when I talk about breathing, it's not about only taking in air and then bringing it out. Breathing is a technique that helps us to beat anxiety. And how do we breathe? I'm going to start. As you can see, I take in my breath right from the tummy. I even feel it in the tummy. I hold it for a few minutes and then I slowly let it out. That kind of breathing helps us to calm down. It helps us to get at par with whatever is going on in our bodies. For some people, it can be a panic attack. For some people, it can be a scary moment. But when you take that deep breath, in a way, it helps to calm the body. You do that 1, 2, 3 times, and then you feel a little bit calmer. Okay, so and then okay, this is not moving. I don't know why it is stuck. Okay, and then take a morning or evening walk in a cool place where you can breathe. That is also important. We live in places that are full of dust. January is very, very hot. When you breathe, you're breathing in dust. So if possible, find a cool place and try to breathe. It helps a lot to calm the body. Start establishing routine for yourself. The sleep and wake times, quality sleep is crucial for our bodies to stay sane. Proper meals, proper hygiene, very, very important. I know you know what proper meals are. I'm not talking about meat, I'm not talking about fish, I'm not talking about chicken. It can even be beans. So proper meals, a balanced diet, it helps us. Let's keep away from the chapatis all the time. I know it is money saving when we eat, quick meals and etc. But now that we are going back to a routine that requires us to use energy and our cognitive behavior, there we need to feed the bodies that are going to help us fuel the brain and for us to be able to deliver the material. So start establishing a routine for yourself. It's important. So we've been in holiday and people are going to bed at 2 a.m. They are watching, all sorts of things on their phones, TikTok and etc. There is a lot of stuff out there, too much on social media, doing our own things. Others have been in business and probably the sleeping is not the way it used to be. But now that we are going back to a routine that requires us to be at our workplaces, for some people from 6 a.m. up to very late in the night, we need to start re-establishing the sleep and wake times. They say, or we all know, that an adult should sleep at least 7 to 8 hours per night. That way, the following day will be good for you. You will be able to carry out your work without a headache, without stomach ache, without a tensed up body, without pain, without anger, without being restless and sleepy. So quality of sleep is crucial. The hours of sleep, crucial. So if you've been sleeping late, now is the time for you to move back and try as much as possible to create that routine of sleeping. Then also avoid deflating and alarming news. It is not worth it, really. It is not worth it. There is a lot of deflating news, a lot of alarming news everywhere. Each, on people's statuses, on people's social media, on TikTok, even on TV news, whatever you see is deflating, it is alarming. If you can avoid it, please keep away from it. And then start planning for school. Now is the time, the 10 days that are left. It is time now for us to start planning for school. Write down what you intend to do in the first and second week. Now we are looking at the scheme of work. We are looking at the lesson plans and all that. If it was a marathon, before you attended this session, you wanted to introduce this very hard topic so that you get it out of the way. Now it's for you to slow down. Take away the marathon and replace it with something that is simpler for the students to pick up and also simpler for you. How? Because if the students are finding it hard, at the end of the day, both of you will be frustrated. So try to replace it with something slower so that you be able to pick up later. And then also, hello?
Hello.
Okay.
Yes. Let me see.
Okay. And also start planning financially. Because problems will never end. Oh, we have someone online who we should mute. Okay, so start planning financially because problems will never end, but better planning will ease the strain. If last year was very poor for you financially, try as much as possible to plan better. I know low pay, empty bank accounts, loans here and there, but that is why even in the banks, they restructure loans. They help people to restructure their lives in order to be able to meet their obligations. So start planning financially. That way, if you're able to overcome that financial hurdle, not that you can overcome it completely, because we live in a world where money can never be enough. But if you plan for it somehow, somewhere, you ease the burden. And then seek help when you need it. As a psychologist, I always emphasize this. Please seek help when you need it. Now, I would like to talk about teaching this. We call it the circle of control. And there are certain things that happen in life and we have no control over them. And yet we keep on stressing about them. We stress and they drain us.
We are about to start watching the news.
I'll start from down. Let us look at this circle, the purplish or lavender color something out there. Now, this circle of control, let me begin from down here. The outer circle, this one, this is the one I'm talking about. It is out of our control. The things that are happening there, out of our control. For example, the Ministry of Education changing the curriculum, or NCDC and all that, the UNEB exam dates, the salary delays, the school calendar beginning. At first it was this and now it is the other. It is out of our control. So even when we get annoyed or we stress about it and quarrel and, lose, interest in school and all that, we are wasting our time because it is out of our control. And then learn to let go. Things like home environment of your students. You can't go to each and every student's home to tell the parents, this is what should be done. It is out of your control. The natural learning speed of your different students, out of your control because they are made differently. Their approval of you. I've seen cases where students reject teachers, out of your control. And then I'm here now. Parents, their attitude, out of your control. Colleagues and what they do, their work ethics, out of your control. The traffic that you get into in the morning as you go to work, the power outages, UEDCL, out of your control. The past is definitely out of your control. The mistakes that you did last year, out of your control. So don't beat yourself about them. Instead, sit down and see how you can better that. So please, the outer circle, you need to learn to let go. Because if you hold on to it, it will just be stressing you and straining you. The inner circle, we have the boundaries there. Leaving work at school, not probably carrying so much work or carrying papers to mark, carrying them from the staff room and taking them home to continue work from there. You're not setting the boundaries between work and school. I know it can be overwhelming, the work can be too much, but you need to somehow create that boundary and say, when I go home, I'm going to relax. And when I come to work, I've come to work. So I shouldn't carry my work to my home because you continue being in that circle of tiredness. It is a cyclic, routine. And then saying no when you're overwhelmed, taking your lunch breaks instead of using your lunch breaks doing still academic work. That's why it's called a break. You're supposed to break off a bit for a few minutes so that you allow your brain to rejuvenate. It is in your control. And then your professionalism, it is in your control. Preparing your lessons, your tone of voice as you speak to your students, as you speak to your colleagues, it is in your control. You can control your anger. Your dress code, in your control. Your punctuality and the classroom atmosphere, all that is in your control. So it is up to you to do something so that you are punctual in your class, so that you dress well, so that your classroom atmosphere that you create with your students, it is in your control. Your well-being, Being kind, getting enough sleep is in your control. Asking for help when you need it, it is in your control. And then your reactions to change. You're going to find so many changes. This being a new year, you're going to find so many changes at your workplace. New year comes with new things and new changes. You're going to find those things there, but you can be able to control how you react. You might not be able to control a change, but how you react, it is in your control. We talk about what we call the self-affirmations. That is the middle circle, the inner one that says the teacher's mantra. Grant yourself permission to stop trying to fix everything. Do your best with what is in your hands and release that rest that you cannot control. I know that most of us come from a religious background. After here, I want you to check what we call the serenity prayer. Look at that prayer and recite it and see how it helps you. It helps you to understand the things that you can control and the things that you cannot control, and then you act accordingly. So there is some bit of homework for you there. Identify one outer circle stressor in your life and tell yourself you can release it, then release it. Identify one inner circle action that you want to take this week, maybe improving your sleep, maybe taking a walk to better yourself, to think better, maybe to work on your well-being, maybe to prepare the scheme of work this week. So think about something in the inner circle that you can take care of and do it. If it takes a minute, do it and get away, put it aside. So let us always try as much as possible to pay attention to the circle of control. Now, as people who work with people's well-being, we know or we understand that to live fully, someone has to have someone to love or something to love. You have to have something to do, and you have to have something to look forward to. It is important to love, to do, and to hope. When you have something to look forward to, you're hopeful that tomorrow will be better. And we all live with hope. When people lose hope, when they become pessimistic, that is when people go into depression. Some people even think about taking their lives because they have lost hope, they have become hopeless. But every day that you wake up and you have something that you're looking forward to, we are looking forward to our work 10 days from now, then it keeps you awake, it gets you out of bed because you have something to do. And you're doing something that you love. I know that some people might be in teaching by accident, but given that you've been there for all those years, or you're just starting out, you better learn to love it. When you have something that you love, something that you do, and something that you look forward to, you are able to live one day at a time, and therefore you live fully. Thank you so much for listening to me. If you have questions, now is the time. I hope I've been loud and clear. Thank you so much for this opportunity.
You're welcome, Madam Julie.
Mhm.
Thank you so much for this sharing. For real, when we try to analyze the new curriculum, even for some of us who have ever attended some of the workshops, we are being advised to be patient with our learners. From what you just shared, like that is slow. How did you take it? That slogan. I can check from here. Slow is smooth. Smooth is fast.
Is fast.
I love that slogan because if we can borrow it, I can see it can take us very far. As we try to create these topics for ProDev, we are intending to empower our members, and this is one way of empowering them, because if teachers can master this art of being slow, at some point we can eventually realize results which will improve our grades. For sure, when you say slow is smooth, smooth is fast, I've just been imagining, sometimes we have this phobia, as you said. You may see we are differently talented. Even from what you've explained, we've gone through different challenges over the long holiday. So if only we can learn to be patient with ourselves, or to accept and allow things happen, then we shall have a peace of mind, and then we shall make our places of work peaceful places, which will allow us perform maximally. Yeah, according to me, in the summary, I can say we need, as teachers, we need to be patient with ourselves where need be, and at the same time, we must be patient with our learners, most especially with this new curriculum. For a learner to appreciate, synthesize what you have taught so that they can ably apply that knowledge, we need to be a little slow with some of our learners. And at the same time, we need to be patient with them. Coupled with that slowness and that patience, I believe we shall reach where we want to be. I know there are members here who are intending or have some few questions. And I would request that those who have something to put in or an effort to add on what has been shared, then you can put up your hand, and then we have 1 or 2, 3 people sharing or asking questions. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Annette. I hope you were those where you work, because you've understood that slow is smooth and smooth is fast. That way you'll be able to handle your people very well.
It's good to appreciate, if you've been in the new curriculum, whether you're a DOS, but when you're that committed teacher or someone who has embraced the new curriculum and has attended somewhere, you must appreciate that slogan. It is working for sure. And if our members have been listening, if only we can share some of the information we get on this ProDev and take it back to our schools, I think we shall be teachers of difference. Yes. Let's go back. I advise my teachers, my fellow teachers here, to go back and share. I know we are soon having staff meetings or beginning of term staff meetings. These are a few things, or some, at least everyone should have a take home, which you should go and share in your meeting to inspire other teachers. And our stay in these schools should really raise our flag as the union high by contributing to the development and the success of the school. Thank you.
Thank you, Madam Annette. I saw Teacher Eva's hand up. Teacher
Yes,
Eva.
thank you, Juliet, for this really enriching session. As you talked about what we have to do and some of the challenges that we go through, especially as we transition, something came to my mind and I thought I should share it. The learners of the new curriculum are exposed to literature, especially on the internet and so on. And they could probably have tried to read on one thing or another. Now, this new year, you find you can get to a class where you haven't been the teacher, the learners don't like you so much, they preferred their old teacher, and yet they've read something. Now, if you're not well grounded, such learners can really destabilize you and deflate you actually nearly the whole year. Like you come say something which is not so clear and a student does what? Challenges you. So you find a teacher hating a class and hating to go to that class because they were not very well grounded in what they were teaching the learners. So we really need to use this time to get back to our books, get our facts and so on, so that we help learners adjust to us. We are going to be their new teachers. We were not their old teachers. So we've got to get there with our facts on our fingertips and so on. Otherwise, thank you very much for the session. It was really enriching.
Thank you so much, Teacher Eva. In fact, we are the oxygen mask for these learners because they are coming to, to fall back, to fall back onto us to provide whatever we can provide. So, like Teacher Eva says, we need to prepare. Thank you so much for hosting me, and thank you for this initiative. It is indeed a very good one because in most cases we just move from one holiday into the beginning of term, not knowing that somehow, somewhere, because of the things we go through in the holidays, we might struggle, and then we end up struggling through the entire year and not achieving or working to the best of our potential. So this is a very good initiative. How I wish it would be for all teachers so that we are all helped in one way or the other. I hand over to Madame Annette. I'm done. Thank you so much for being a good audience.
Yeah, we've been very much blessed to have you this same night or tonight. And I believe our teachers have benefited a lot. Yeah, if only people could go back and sit and try to digest whatever has been shared here. I believe we shall be teachers of difference. And our term will be a successful term. I take this opportunity to invite Madame Betty in case she has a word to say. Then probably we can close the session. Madame Betty?
Thank you
Hello.
very much, Annette. Thank you for steering us through this program. And I'm very grateful to Madame Juliet for accepting to come and give us this way or the journey we have to make. I was very excited seeing Madame Eva, Teacher Eva contributing here. Teacher Eva, you're most welcome. I know you are a lady of substance and we want to see you on ProDev also presenting one other time. If we invite you, please accept our invitation. Members, I would like to apologize that we have not been able to have this program for the last 2 weeks, but we were aware of the challenges we're going through, the challenges of internet. I'm happy today we have had it. It should be now our responsibility to invite others who still think we are on lockdown, that we are already back on stage. I also would like to communicate that as we prepare to go back to school, we should put in mind that UPS2's annual activities are taking place, and we are about to release forms or adverts that we have for our Science Innovation Project. So I would like to start by saying we should take it up actively as we prepare to go back to school. We keep on alert, and if we receive these messages, we should be able to pass it to other teachers and help them to understand that we have started. For now, I do not have a lot to say. I want to invite you for next week's ProDev Hour. We shall have something on SACCO, and this has been also a very burning issue, especially to the members who belong to Uganda Professional Science Teachers SACCO. And I would like to invite those who have not yet joined to pay attention that day, because a lot is going to be discussed by specialists on how some of the SACCO issues are to be managed. I want to thank you very much and wish everyone a good night. Thank you very much.
Good night. Bye-bye.
Good night.
Have quality sleep.
Likewise.